Hi everyone, I'm Karen Robinson from littlepaperparty.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and today I have the 6th project in my 12 Days of Christmas series to share with you, which is what my son is going to be taking as gifts for his classmates this year, and is super simple and doesn't require a lot of materials, and it's going to just be like a very simple lollipop holder. And this is the one that I've made and designed for him, and I think it's really cute. So what I'm putting in them, so please excuse my rustling, these are candy cane flavored Chupa Chups. I'm not sure if these are available everywhere, but they're here. They're limited edition. They kind of only come out at this time of year, and these have actually been like hen's teeth to find. I've only been able to find this packet this year. I've seen them advertised and I just haven't seen them around, so everyone must be wanting them this year, but that's what we're using for the lollipop that's inside. So alrighty, I'll just go quickly through. I'll just pop this there, hopefully you can see it, quickly through what products I've used for this. So for the stamping here, I've just used the Warm Hugs stamp set, and I'm going to use this sentiment that is, this one's on me, Merry Christmas, or whichever way you want to say it. And then I've used the coordinating die to cut it out. Whoops, sorry, that's over here at another thing, which is this one with that cuts out the center, so like a little donut kind of hole die. And then for the star in the middle, I knew I wanted to add a little bit of shimmer, and I decided to use the Stitch Stars dies and gold foil, and I used the second smallest one, which fitted beautifully in the center of my little donut circle. There are images in this set that will also perfectly fit in here. There is a star, so you can stamp and die cut. There's the candy canes, which are two-step stamping, so you can just stamp the outlines, fill it in, you know, without like coloring, just stamp it in. And same with the tree and the heart and the coffee cup, all of which have coordinating dies. So I could have used those, but I just wanted something, simple. I didn't want to do any more stamping. I'm trying to save time. So let me pop that out of the way. So I already have all of my elements for my things ready. And this weekend we will be putting them together. Here in Australia, we are going into summer, so that means it is not only Christmas, it is the end of the school year, the academic year. School is finishing for the year, graduations, all that kind of stuff is going on. So there's kind of more celebrations, I guess, and activities on top of normal kind of Christmas activities, so it's getting super busy. And here we have just under 2 weeks left where I live in Queensland, so yeah, it's just gonna all get a little bit crazy just really soon. So I have all my elements ready and prepared, ready to go, and so we're just going to make a couple of these very quickly, and then we can get on with it. Okay, so all you're going to need is a piece of cardstock for the base of your lollipop holder, a piece of cardstock that is 1.5 by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm using my Simply Scored. You could also use your trimmer if you have a scoring blade on that as well, and I'm just going to pop it in there, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 3 1/4, and 4 3/4. And I'm just going to do that again. I think I've got one more to make. So 1.5 by 5 1/4 is the size of my cardstock, and I'm just scoring it at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 3 1/4, and 4 3/4. Now, before I get rid of my scoreboard, what I found worked well and was a time saver is I am going to punch some holes to put my stick through, and I sacrificed one of my pieces to make a little template where I wanted my holes. They're not even, but it does work, so it doesn't matter. So what I'm doing, and you could also use a stamp positioning tool if you don't have a scoreboard, but I just found that this was a bit easier rather than kind of lining them up and then trying to hold them and then punching and stuff. This was when I did the others, this was a lot quicker. So I just popped it in to the corner, pop this over the top, and grabbed a pencil and then just quickly drew a circle, and then I just put another one in. And this was a faster way of doing the placement for my holes. So I did the whole lot where I wanted my holes, and then I just came in afterwards and punched them out with my hole punch. This is just a standard sized hole punch, like an office punch. It doesn't have any sizing on it. Whatever you have probably in your stationery drawer will do. Basically, you just want it big enough to easily get the stick through and some of the wrapping, which adds a little bit to the thickness. So that is done. So I'll just pop this out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I will quickly, I'm just going to make one of these. So I have all mine ready to go, like I said, so they're already stamped and scored and punched. And before we assemble them, I'm just going to get my son to write on the back of them. So it's going to kind of be, this one's on me, Merry Christmas, and then he's just going to write like 4 miles on the back. But we'll do that before we put it together, because it'll be much easier to write while that's flat than afterwards. So that's why these are just in the very basic state. But we'll make one at least so you can kind of just see how simple and easy they are to go together. I'm going to fold and burnish all my score lines. Use my bone folder, make sure they're nice and straight. And then I can kind of fold it up, decide which one I want to be my front or my back. So the main thing with which is a good idea to make a template for your holes, you can definitely eyeball it if you're good at doing that. I'm not, but you do want them to be, reasonably centered, so your things are going to sit nicely and not like this. You want them so that they're going to have nice at the side, look nice at the sides and be even. Otherwise, they won't be very attractive. Okay. Okay, I don't know why this is such a big decision. We'll make this the front. So I would get my son to write on the back first, and then we will put the rest together. I have all of my bits here. So I have all of my donuts already done. My donuts. All my stars are all ready to go. It's so pretty. So what I did was, so I went through and just stamped all my sentiments, and then these are so small I could just run them both through at the same time. So it took a little while, but once I had stamped everything, it was just kind of sitting and just going through, using my die cutting machine and going through it. It didn't take a long time, and it's something you can kind of do if you're watching something or listening to something else. Anyway, some other options though, if you want to save even more time, you don't have the dies, you don't do die cutting, nothing wrong with that. Punches are great at this time of year if you want to be speedy and save time. So I did a little experiment, and I found that for this stamp set, I found a couple of punches that would actually cut it out beautifully. These are old punches. This is retired. I think we do a 1.5. Should have checked that, but anyway, this style is retired, but these are just basic layering circle punches. So a 1.5 will punch it out with a nice border around it, and a 1 3/8 punch will punch it out kind of right on the line. And then to punch out the center, I have a 3/4 inch punch, which is retired. We don't sell this anymore, but it's a very common size, and you can get it in a lot of craft stores. Will punch out the center bit beautifully, so you can get the same effect. So you would stamp all your images, grab your 3/4, your smaller punch out the centers, and then come with your bigger punch and punch out the circles. And it will take a lot less time than to do it with a die cutting machine. And then you can do the same thing for the inside. So I have done a stitch star, which is die cutting. I just like the look of it. I think it adds a little extra bit of interest to what's a very simple project. But you could easily, little punches, little star punches, any kind of little punch, and then just punch it out of gold foil, and it will fit in the center beautifully. And kids probably won't even be too fussed about it. They'll think it's probably just as cute and just as sweet as one that's a little bit more fancy with some stitch detail and has all been die cut and everything. So little punches, your punches. Keep your punches, especially circle punches and little decorative punches, because they make things fast. Let me bring back my piece here. So all I did was I adhered my little sentiment, my donut sentiment flat, just with some Tombow. Try to make it straight. It's always nice. Optional, but nice. And then to attach the star, I did pop that up with a mini dimensional, just to add a little bit of interest. You don't have to, you could just adhere this flat as well, or with a glue dot or something, but I decided just to pop it up in the center. And I love how that looks. Just fold up my base, grab my lollipop. Now sometimes with the Chupa Chups, and I guess probably other lollipops, this can be really thick, so I did have to trim a little bit of this, cut a little bit of this one off, just of some of the wrapping. It doesn't matter, like there's so much wrapping, so yes, but that's why you want to have a decent sized hole to kind of allow for that a little bit, but sometimes you need to trim the wrapping down a little bit. This is probably the fiddliest part of it, just getting the lollipop in, and you could definitely add a little bit of adhesive here and keep this closed. I'm not going to worry about it because it stays closed beautifully. I'm going to pop my lollipop in and kind of just work it through my holes a little bit, so it sits beautifully. Because this is a big one, it doesn't really slide around on the bottom. If you use minis, you might need to, mini Chupa Chups, you might need to add a glue dot to keep it in place nicely, but this one isn't going to go anywhere. And then the final touch is a little bow, which is totally optional, and you could use twine, anything, but I just felt it just needed a little something here, and to hide kind of some of this ugly wrapper bit here. So I used, I'm trying to find my thing, I used the polka dot tulle ribbon, which is in the annual catalogue, and originally I tied it around the stick, and you can do that. It's kind of a bit fiddly though, so I decided I've just made the bows, I'm making the bows separately, and then I'm just going to add them afterwards. So what I found, well, first of all, to do that, it's easier to tie it rather than tying it around something small and skinny like this, and also it's more economical with your ribbon. You will use less ribbon doing it that way, there will be less waste. So the size I found worked the best for this was I kind of came to the 7-inch mark, and that is where I started my loop to create my bows. I love this ribbon. It is a little bit fiddly to try because the little dots kind of want to catch on each other. So yeah, it takes a little bit of finagling, I find anyway, to get it to sit nicely. But once again, this is, you know, I don't know, a bit of a mindless task that you can do while you're watching something or listening to something else, or, you know, maybe your tea's cooking and just kind of you're waiting for it, and you can sit at the table and make a few bows. And well, that was a dreadful one. Well, so we'll pretend that I can make a bow. So yes, but I do love this ribbon. It is a little bit, just a little bit fussy to tie though, because of the beautiful raised dots, which make it so pretty, but they also make it just want to attach to itself. And then, yeah, I don't have to trim that one off at all. That's like, never happens. And then I can just trim off the edges. And so I'm not going to have like big pieces of ribbon that I'm going to be wasting. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, that's pretty good. We'll do that. We'll take that one. So I have got a bowl of bows already starting over here. I haven't got them all yet, but I will. I'm getting there. I'm just going to pop all the rest of my little bits in here so it's not too glary on the screen. Out of the way. And then to attach my bow, I just used some mini glue dots. Or a mini glue dot. Probably only need one. I'm just going to grab my paper piercer, sorry, and then I just popped it in the middle. One reason I did want just that little bit extra, bit of something, decoration to it, but also it kind of helps hide some of the ugly, this wrapping bit at the top just a little bit more as well. And then you can fuss around with that, trim it a little bit more if you need, but personally I think that looks fine. And that's it, that's everything. And like I said, my son will just write from, miles. He'll write his name on the back, and then they'll be ready to head off. So yeah, next week, because we don't have long left of the school year, head off and hand out to his friends, and I think the kids will really like that. So a very quick and easy, simple project, and you can make these quite quickly. And if you do have punches, they can go even faster and save yourself time through die cutting, unless you love die cutting like me, and then take the extra time. Just a quick little idea of how much you can get out of your cardstock. You can make 10 of these box bases from both an A4 and a letter size piece of cardstock. For the sentiments, I cut down my cardstock to 2-inch wide strips, and I could get 7 images per strip, and so I could get 4 strips, so I could get 28 of these per A4 sheet, and you'll be able to get the same out of letter cardstock as well. And and for my stars, yes, I just use scraps. I always keep the scraps of my glimmer and my foil cardstock because it's a bit more expensive, and I just use my scraps and to die cut all my stars because they don't use very much at all. So yeah, so you could get, if you needed to make 30, you would need 3 pieces of your coloured cardstock, whatever your base is going to be, and then 1 full piece of Whisper White cardstock to stamp on, some scraps of foil or whatever you wanted to add into the middle, and a little bit extra of the white cardstock because you would just need to do 2 more sentiments. So hopefully that is okay. I will add all of those measurements and everything on my blog post, so you don't have to try and remember them and write them down. And that is everything for today. So thank you very much for staying, if you have stayed this far, and I will see you soon with number 7. Bye.